Hello and welcome to the round 7 review for the 400k Supercoach team. This Supercoach challenges, and as you can see, a bit of a rough week this one. Obviously, we can always continue to go upwards. Well, you'd hope you do, but with the way the team is, and probably the run we kind of had over the past few weeks, it was probably one of those times where we were going to get hit by some injuries and some things going wrong with the scoring of our mid-price players. Last week we had a really good score, and this week it wasn't as good. We only lost 556 in rank, which, obviously we want to keep going up. If I can break 100k, that'd be great. I still am of the opinion that we will be able to hopefully catch some points up once we get these primos in. But yeah, it is going to be a hard slog. We're in the middle of the upgrade season, and obviously, this isn't necessarily meant to be that peak competitive team. And I've been thinking about a way I can make maybe a challenge next year that can still be competitive. But this is something that was interesting to see, and you never know. As everyone's talking about, there is a potential cash crisis coming for all of us Supercoach players, and maybe we won't be affected by that as much. But that's something for us to come and I guess see as the season goes on. So we scored a 1,903 this week, so 200 points down on the previous week. That was obviously buffeted by a huge VC score in the previous week. The rank change you can see is the big difference, going down 92,000 compared to last week. So I think last week it was obviously a top 30k score, and this week it's gone down a bit. But no matter, we kind of knew these kind of scores would come. So anyway, let's get to the team. And yeah, so this is what we kind of went with. And I guess we'll start with the defenders. So we look at Dacos, and I wouldn't say that the Crows got the better of him. Like, from playing it, they did kind of try and make him a little bit accountable. But Dacos definitely had, he just had an off game, really. Like, there was a few kicks that he was having kick out from behinds where he just hit Crows players on the chest, or just made some, decisions where it wasn't necessarily as good as he normally would be. But, everyone has him, so it's kind of a small issue. Will Day was welcomed back into the team, and he had a 30 disposal 97, going back to what he kind of was doing, early on in this year. I'm just not sure about Will Day. I think that, he obviously, because of his price, he was good to get in because there is this money issue. But for me, I kind of like playing him as an antipod. He does get a lot of the ball, but he just seems to pump out these hundreds. Now, he can turn them into big scores as well. And if, us starting him at 370 or 350k, whatever he was worth, it's obviously worth it at that point. But getting into the 500s, it does make it hard. And he is very close to guys like, Sinclair and Sicily now. So, yeah, it kind of makes it a hard choice whether to bring him in now. I feel like, looking at his break even, he's at a 77. So even if he scores 100, he's probably only going to go up 15k, 20k, even 30k, and then he's 530. And maybe that does give you, a little bit more data to say he can get this going. Now, he did look really good early in that game, but he did slow down. So, yeah, just wanted to kind of keep an eye on a little bit. Sheasel, he's back into the team and back into his defensive role, and he played very, very well off that back line. They got absolutely smashed by Melbourne, so no doubt he got a lot of the ball. But it's good to see that was kind of, that last score was just kind of a little blip in his scoring potential, and Clarko looks like he's going to be keeping him down there, so that is good. Hinch had another nice score of a 91. I actually think he was going really, really well through the mid third quarter. I think he was in the 80s. Bit sad he couldn't get it going from there, but the Crows kind of tried not to win the game, and it really put a lot of pressure on the defenders. They couldn't really get clean kicks out to anyone. because of the way the Crows kind of set up, especially in that last quarter. Um, it meant that guys like Hinge were kind of bombing out and not really having anyone there to contest, and they were just easy marks. So harder to score. But, you still take the 91, so that is good. And I think the defensive line was probably our least worry this week. With Clark, getting 100, that's great. That's also with still back in the team. So we love to see score like that. Really good from going forward. I think he's starting to really warm up into his role. This was actually against a fairly good opposition as well. So really liking to see that 100 from him. What's he gone up this year? Like, was he worth? So he might not necessarily have been worth it at 320 if you started him in your team. But I guess he is working into a good season. And like, if you have Hunter Clark as like your D5, D6, you're probably pretty happy with that, to be honest. Because there's a lot of players who aren't playing as well. And if you could have him on instead of a rookie, I think you'd be pretty happy with that. And we played Wiedering as an emergency. He probably had actually pretty decent stats. Carlton got a lot of the Supercoach points in that game. Sadly, it just because they got so much of the ball and they just absolutely smashed West Coast. Scoring wasn't great for defenders specifically, but it's pretty good to see him get an 80. Like, that's all you can ask for. And Mitchell, the guy we brought in, he was actually going to be might make decent catch, but he got subbed out early in the third quarter. Who knows why Hawthorn decided to do that? Looking at they had Scrimshaw as a sub, so the only thing I can think of is they wanted to be a bit bigger back in their defense, but I don't know why he's subbing. Yeah, I just don't know why. When Mitchell's been playing so well, and it looked like he was actually playing quite well on Waitman, I just don't know why they decided to sub him out, but these things happen. And it's a bit of a worry because Scrimshaw back in, I just don't know whether he's going to actually be able to keep a spot, Mitchell, now. So that'll be interesting to play out. On 200th game, I hoped he'd go pretty high. I think we might have saved in the ranks a bit because Dacos, I think there was quite a high amount of people who captained Dacos. And Bonnet only had 20 disposals, I think, and still went 120. So the guy doesn't need, we know the guy doesn't need heap of the ball to score well, but it's just crazy the rate he goes at. What's it say? Does it say here? Yeah, that's the Dockers. Yeah, that's Dockers. So they haven't put the notes out, but I'm pretty sure he didn't have that many disposals. So pretty interesting there. Hopper, the 71 isn't great. Richmond aren't looking very good, and they got absolutely smashed by Gold Coast, which did not help him. I think the only one that scored well was Taranto, who we actually did think about bringing in. We opted for the cheaper option. We'll discuss that when we get to the forwards, but we're just going to have to hold Hopper for now. He's got West Coast this week, so that could be an 100 score. But he is close to peaking. Like the next man we're going to talk about is Will Setterfield. Lost quite a bit of money in that last four, and I think we just have to get rid of him now. The points would be good on field over maybe some of these other rookies, but yeah, he's just going to start free falling in cash. The 117 looks quite far away out of his scoring. Ever since he went 99 first game, then he went 147, and then since then it's kind of been a little bit lackluster, just pushing 80s, 90s, and then the 76 and 51. So he's really dropped off. I think they kind of changed his role a little bit, which hasn't helped. And I think he'll have to go this week. Warple still scored decently with Day back in the team and their new midfield lineup. See, this is what I said was an issue with Day now. With him being out those two games, it's probably hurt his overall scoring for the year because they found other midfielders like Nash and even gave Newcomb more run in there, and he kind of came into form. So it's kind of hurt Day a bit, and the same could be said for Warple. If we look at the two games, so the first game he obviously did quite well, the first two, and then the next two where Day really started to show up. I reckon there's probably a direct, what's it called? Direct correlation between Warple's two big scores and where he started to go low, and then where Day was out and Warple started scoring again. So if we look at round 160, I guess the 98's there, and yeah, round 3 was probably a gimme, but yeah, I guess we could say the round 1 was more of a warm up, but I think Nash is actually going to hurt Day. Hunter, so we knew we were going to lose money on Hunter here. He still made money overall, and we kept him because we knew they had quite a decent run coming up. And like, you taking the 90, it's a lot better than maybe a rookie on field. So taking that 90, he's got Gold Coast Hawthorn. Gold Coast, I think this is going to be quite a nice score coming. So we'll keep him. Vaughn Francis is frustrating. This should have been a bigger score. He went 50% disposal efficiency, which is, just a little bit annoying. Because he was absolutely just tearing it up in the midfield and then just kind of stops. I don't know whether he gasses a little bit, but he is showing good signs with some of his scoring, and he is up money still. I think at 44k, so we're happy with that. Ashcroft, not much to say about Ashcroft. He's just gonna be unreal. Like, he is gonna be a star, and he had that Goal of the Year nomination, which was pretty incredible goal as well. And I think he's the least to worry about in this team. Good to see Naish Wanganeen at Lira starting to get some games together. He's got St Kilda have a really nice run. So I'm thinking I'm going to probably hold Clark and him for a while because they've just got like a very nice run of games coming up. One thing we haven't done with this team is plan for the buys at all, but doesn't look like it's an issue in round 12, and we can start moving around these players to get in, guys. So maybe we'll hold out on maybe the Steel and some of the round 12 guys for now, but nice from him. Darcy, great score. Not much more to say. Outdid pretty much all the rocks, so you love to see it. And looks like he's been a better decision to go over English, and the price difference now is not very high. So people are going to be making that decision between Darcy and English if they have to change from Grundy, who has lost a lot of money as well. So just not a good spot to be in if you're a Grundy owner. Draper. Now this is an issue now. Now thinking of this, he's got a very high break even as well, which I didn't notice. And I really wish we could do a double swap here. Maybe we just go down from Settleville, but the problem is we've got another issue in this team. Draper, I just feel like he must have just got dominated against Geelong. I didn't watch much of this game, I must say. From a ruck perspective, I didn't really focus on that. I actually just wasn't really that enthusiastic about this game altogether. Looks like he just got dominated in there. Connor Rosie and that 41 as well. Not very helpful. Connor Rosie just kind of went average on his 96. Break even still there, 82. Look, he was going to come in at some point, and probably just glad to get him now, so that's fine. Zeeble, very happy that he was able to run out this game. He actually got injured in the first quarter. Looked like a calf. Scans show. I think he's supposed to go in for scans. Hopefully, this will not affect him playing, because it will kind of put us in a little bit of a hole here. A couple wrong decisions with rookies made. If I could bring back McKenna, I would. I did not think that through. Like what I was doing with my team was making sure that I was kind of keeping the warm bodies in my team, because we are having a lot of problems with rookies, and McKenna's just one who, his floor looked like it was 50, whereas these other rookies, a lot of them, it was like 20s. You saw that with Sturt this week. JVR, there was a lot of guys who scored 20s. Mitchell 40. Rookies have been hard. I kind of wish I kept McKenna, especially with the Rich injury. But that's happened now. And moving on from Zeeble anyway, he got the injury but ran out the game. 100, love that. Chandler, so I hate that I missed this in my actual team. Because I was big on Chandler throughout preseason. even from his practice match, he just looked all right. I was worried about job security, and Davey at 6,000 less kind of got me that money in that team, which wasn't an issue here, which is why I was able to just have Chandler. And he's just looked so good. And Melbourne have a good run. And yeah, just great for this team and great for you who have him. But yeah, kind of an issue otherwise. Radigalia, 43, not great. Still pushes money up. Geelong have a good run of games at GHMBA, and the Crows. If you watched much of the Crows game, and this is why I'd probably push for a Stewart BC this week. The Crows were bombing it when they were under pressure against Collingwood. They were bombing it into their defence, and it was being cleaned up quite well by Darcy Moore. And I feel like that's something that Stewart is going to be able to just absolutely rack up on. Add in the fact that they were so inaccurate in front of goal, and you've really got the mix for a really big Stewart score. Like if he can get 10 kickouts, that goes a long way to him scoring a massive score, and I think it's probably a good VC option. And for Radigalia, that could also be good because we have seen that against those teams like West Coast. And did he also score big against North? Is that who he scored against? Who was it? West Coast and Hawthorn. He has shown that he can. Even Sydney, like Sydney, haven't been that good lately. So, yeah, they've have shown that they can score. So, yeah, I think that it's quite a good game, good matchup for Radigalia. Tom Power. Now, this is the frustrating one because if I could go back, he'd be the one that I traded over. McKenna. And that would have meant that Sheasel could have gone back forward. But instead we traded McKenna. Tom Power's got the injury. I thought he was getting more mid-time, which kind of made him worth it to keep. Thinking back now, I probably should have looked at it and gone, look, McKenna's going to show you. He's shown those 50s, 60s, 70s, whereas Powell has not. And the injury did not help that. Even without the injury, he was not looking like a big score. He's definitely out the team this week. Green also scored bad, so that doesn't help either. I guess the good thing with Green is we might be able to just work him off and play Samson Ryan instead. But not great that he scored as badly as he did. It's kind of really hurt his cash making ability. And I don't think Mitch Lewis is helping that. He also went off injured. So yeah, we've got issues. I'd actually probably rather Green doesn't play so he can't lose money. Because it's not much of an issue for us. I'd rather probably keep his money up, but that is something we will have to think about. Now, looking at the trades for this week. So to me, the clear ones to go are Setterfield and Power. Now, Draper has thrown a bit of a curveball into this because, he's only gone up 45k now. He could lose 24. Essendon have Port Adelaide, who, they don't have a ruck, but then they have Brisbane, who have a decent ruck, and I think Nate could be back by this Richmond matchup. We've had these 4-game run even has been very nice. This 40 has really, really, really hurt us. And the fact that if he scores like a 70, he's going down 24k. It's just, it's kind of like if you don't trade him now, it's kind of like we're just going to have to hold him, which is not really something I want to do. I guess what I'm forgetting is I do have Radigalia, which dealt with this. I think Sheezer will come here. This is what I'm kind of thinking. I kind of have to trade Power. I really have to trade Power, or I have to go a forward. Now, I mean the forward I could do a forward. We can work that into the team. So I mean it's an easy in this week in Chincotta, and that actually helps us in our midfield. and also helps us in our defense. So I think Kinkota's going to have to go there. Now, what we do from here is the interesting part. So, we do have Baker here, but the problem is Davey and Chesa could be back soon, which is good, but Davey doesn't. I'm just not sure Davey actually gets a game now. The Roberts one is really, really painful. And, I'm glad we got Green. Not Green, Ryan. That's looking like a very good choice. The hard part here is going to be picking the Primo. I guess we buy ourselves some time. But he's scoring worse now. Like, that's the question. I didn't realize Draper's break even had just been pumped. I can't believe it's been pumped so high after 200s. Just because of 40. But I guess, that's something you probably should have realized. So originally I was thinking Clary. The reason for Clary is obvious. I think we need good VC captain scoring. But the problem now is that I think that's 50k too much. Now, one I'm now thinking of is Triano. Reason being, he's got West Coast, which is great. Low break even. Geelong's going to be a hard game, but Essendon, Port, GWS, Fremantle, even St Kilda aren't too bad. Brisbane's going to be a bad one, but then Sydney, West Coast, Hawthorn, even Melbourne, like he scored well against Melbourne. Yeah, he had 144, so like that's a good game. Like this run isn't ridiculously hard. He's got one Geelong game, and he's going to be a top, like he's probably going to be number 1 forward. And this will help, I guess, cover that forward line. So let's just complete this for now and kind of see what we're looking at. So what we're working with is Toronto here. And what I'm thinking is I'm going to put Ryan on instead, and we're just going to run Ryan. I think that's fine. I think there's going to be a few teams that do that. Now we've obviously got Radically here. It's really hard getting these bad plays off, right? So we could boost. I really wanted to use these boosts in the buys. The thing is, there isn't really any rookies that are like screaming to be picked. And this is where McKenna would have helped because had I'd known this was going to happen, I would have got rid of Power. We'd have McKenna instead, and Chinkotto could have just played in the midfield, and the dynamics here would be a lot better. So we got Power, and it's like, should I just boost him out? Obviously, you can't get another premium because it goes against the rules, which makes it hard. Now, in a couple, probably next week, Gorn's going to be quite nice to nab. Do we want him as R2? Like, I'd probably rather just get English, which is a little bit of an issue. But at least this forward line's kind of shaping itself up the way we like it to be. And I guess Day and Dacos are keepers, isn't it? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's say 8 keepers. Out of 6, 12, what's that? 8, 20, 22 players. So we need 14 more players with 23 trades. Doable. We could do it. We have been downgrading a bit. There's just no one else I really want to bring in. Angwin would be all right. I think, I don't want to play Baker. And the question is, do we keep Draper and just take the shit price drop, or do we keep Setterfield? All right, so let's rethink. Rethinking, I think Draper definitely goes, right? And I'm happy to keep Radically on the field. And we can do these flips, and I'll put in Chincotta in here, right? A lot of teams are going to be playing Chincotta on field. I'm not worried about that. And then we get rid of Power instead. And Power becomes Taranto. And I think I like this a little bit more. And the reason I probably like Setterfield over Draper maybe a little bit, just because I feel like Draper's going to lose more money in the end. I mean, what's Draper sit at? Draper's going to be close to Setterfield by the end of next week. I just feel like what's this break even? 117 is more makeable than the 126 that we've got on a Draper. So I'd probably just prefer to just go Setterfield, keep Setterfield. I think we're gonna go. So looking at this, I think we're gonna VC Taranto into let's down have a look. VC Taranto into probably Bont. I mean, we could go Darcy, but you know, Hawthorn did restrict. Oh, you know what? Let's take the gamble on Darcy. I like the reason being, right, is GWS is going to be like, this is a kind of a rivalry match between them and the Dogs, so maybe not the best decision to go there. And I just think that Darcy, what Darcy has that English doesn't is the hit out potential. And I think the way that the Hawks played English was very interesting. They brought in an extra ruck, and the extra ruck was actually not necessarily to combat him in the ruts like contest, because you know, in general, he doesn't do well there for hitouts, but it was more to contest him around the ground, you know, keep up with the guy because he works so hard to get, you know, uncontested possessions. And they were just able to put another body on him that was a little bit fresher at times with the swapping between maybe the, you know, ruck and forward line or even off. It just made it easier having for Hawthorn having a second ruckman there who could really put a body onto English. Whereas I think Darcy's scores excel not in his disposal getting ability. Like English can go for 20 to 30 disposals, whereas Darcy goes his 15, but he gets like 40 hitouts. And I think that's where Darcy will really kill Hawthorn. And I think it's worth a gamble as a captain. So moving on from that, the issues we face are, you know, player rookies and cash generation. Hopefully that's something we can catch up with. The problem is the rookies that were chosen at the start of the year haven't been the greatest. You know, Davey, Tessa, Mitchell, Roberts. I don't think we missed that many. Like, who's one we missed? Mitchell Johnson's out for 2 weeks. Like, who cares then? You know, we didn't have Cowan. Wilmot would have been nice. We didn't have Wilmot. McKenna was good. We have McKenna, so that's good. Yeah, just a few rough picks here, but you know what? It's slowly working out. We're going to slowly move this team forward. I would like to get English in soon. We have the money to do it. I think that he's going to have quite a high break even, 161. So hopefully GWS can put 2 bodies on him as well, maybe get Flynn. And I think Madden is actually off the injury list, so wild times. But hopefully we can get those 2 to just put a bit more of that body work into him. He loses another 20 to 30, and then he's right for the for us. And we'll probably go up to him through maybe a midfielder. Probably Setterfield. It's like going to be 250k. It's fine. Because what we'll do is we'll move like Rosie into the midfield. And then Radic Galia back into the forward line and just work it out that way. I'll be happy with that in a round. And then after GWS, I think they have quite a nice run. Carlton, nice. Adelaide, nice. Gold Coast. I think Wits might be a bit injured, so nice. Like Rob lets people score. Carlton Pitnat, I mean, he can be all right. Long. See, it all depends. It all really depends. Otherwise, Clary would have been nice to have this week, but the way the team's kind of structured, we needed a mid forward, and I think Taranto's the guy. So looking at our 3-2-1 for this week, you know, I don't think Font really delivered what we needed out of his 200th. I'm gonna be honest. So I'm gonna go 3 Will Ashcroft. Reason being, this has helped keep him stick around. I actually checked his score early in the game and he was not on much. So I think his last 3 quarters were very, very good. And he looks like probably making 200 to 250K overall. We love that from him. Number 2, I'm going to give to Clark. Nice to see 100, especially with, the midfielders back. Love to see it. And, I probably should give 1 vote to Chandler, shouldn't I? I mean, if you're going to give 1 vote to Ashcroft, you should give it to Chandler. I guess it was kind of an easy kill. I want to give it to Zeeble because Zeeble had the injury and still was able to get 100. But let's give it to Chandler. You don't expect the hundreds like that much from a guy like, who started 123K. And he looks like making even near on 300K now. So, we'll give the 1 to Chandler. I hope you had a better week than I did. I would probably assume you probably did. If not, well, bad luck. Those weeks happen. I had them in my team, just last week when I had 2 kids captain. So, still a lot of the year to be played out. We're not even a third of the way through. There's 24 rounds where we just had round 7. So this is the third of the way through. Plenty to come, plenty of injuries, plenty of different things to happen. So just remember it's a bit of fun. So if you enjoyed the video, give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, I should say. It's free to subscribe. It really helps us out. Really helps us feel like what we're providing is good value to you. Obviously, maybe not necessarily my team, as a comparison figure, but I do talk about players and relevant players. So I do try and do a little bit around that. And just enjoy the week. All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.